You're tuned to Planet Vero Radio. I am Cindy Schwartz. We are broadcast on 101.7 FM. We are also podcast on Spreaker. This is the Patient Partner Show. I have my co-host on the phone with me, Jeannie Roller. She's in Indiana. We're talking today about doctors and our confusion with first do no harm, but yet they've decided, some of these doctors, that they're not going to treat certain patients if they've been vaccinated, unvaccinated. It's a whole dynamic with that. And we're just kind of wondering and talking about, how does that happen in the medical field when we thought that doctors were supposed to have the Hippocratic Oath and to treat people that are sick, the same as in the legal field when there are just heinous heinous crimes that the person needs legal representation, and it's almost as if they're proven guilty before they're even had a chance to prove their innocence. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on that, Jeannie? How does this all work? I'm confused.
Well, I am too. I mean, because for years we've been told that doctors and nurses do not bring their personal biases into the medical facility, that they look at everybody the same. They treat everybody equally. So apparently it's not true, and we've been right all along that yes, some people are chosen to be harmed intentionally. When a doctor or nurse refuses to treat an unvaxxed person, saying that person is maybe having a heart attack or they need a kidney transplant, for instance, and they are saying, because you're not vaxxed, I refuse to treat you, that is causing harm. That is intentional harm. Mm-hmm. They are refusing to treat that patient.
And we're talking about the COVID vaccination.
Right. We're talking about the COVID vaccination. So to me, all these years we've been fed this, that they will not, look at you personally and make a judgment, is not true, because yes, they have been doing this, because now it's coming out that they are willing to do this, that it's not about treating sick people, it's about they will be able to choose who they want to treat and who they don't. Mm-hmm. And so for everyone like my husband and yourself who's been harmed, you have to wonder that, were you chosen to be harmed? That's kind of what we wonder, because for so many things in my husband's treatment to go wrong, there's no other, explanation that he was chosen to be harmed, that there was personal biases in the mix there. So it makes you really leery about this, because right now they're unashamed of saying, yes, we will choose to harm certain patients by not treating them.
Mm-hmm. And I wonder why it's come out in the forefront now that they're talking about it, different doctors and nurses and medical people and stuff. And you're right. I mean, the bombshell other case that we kind of prove that, or does prove, is that the pelvic uninformed consent pelvic examinations. I mean, there's one right there. I mean, you've got the cases with the Olympic gymnasts we've talked about. The FBI dropped the ball on that. There's a new case. I don't know the particulars on it, but someone told me today about a football athlete that was given so many prostate examinations for a person that's that young that doesn't really need them. So in essence, is that sexual harassment, a sexual abuse? It's unreal, the things that are coming out. I'm glad they're coming out, because we need to talk about this, because we need to get it out from the wrappers, because this stuff is happening.
Well, it is. And if you think about it, Cindy, something even so simple as exposing patients during pre-op unnecessarily, that's causing patient harm. Mm-hmm. They stand behind that. They say that they have the right to do that. Mm-hmm. But yet it can cause a patient to possibly die, to recover slower, and mental trauma. Right.
Well, the PTSD is just unreal of what's being caused in the medical community with the medical harm and the PTSD that you never, ever get over for the rest of your life.
Right. So, I mean, there's instance after instance where we see that their personal judgment, their biases, it does come into play on how they deliver their medical care to people. So it is very scary, because you as a patient, you have no idea if you're going to be the recipient of that. Mm-hmm. And so it's very, very scary. But right now, they're unashamed and unafraid of saying, hey, if you meet this certain criteria, we won't treat you. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So that is frightening.
It is frightening, but on the other side to it, too, is I'm glad whoever it is coming out saying it on the medical side, because those are the ones that I wouldn't go to. So at least I know now who they are, because before that, we don't have any way to check that.
And that is true, but it's also true that there are many of them that's not speaking out. So
Absolutely. Yep.
You're going to come across them maybe in ER care, and that's where you're more likely to be harmed is during the course of ER care.
Right, ER, and then the surgical care is another one because they just pump you. We've talked so many times. We know it for a fact because we've had it happen to us. They just pump you full of drugs, and then they tell you it doesn't matter because you're under anesthesia, you're on the effect of drugs. You know, it goes on and on. It's just... It's horrific. We need to talk about this. I don't know why legislative bodies aren't getting involved in it. Well, I do know why they're not for the most part, and why there is no recourse for a patient except if you can prove that it is medical malice. And then, you know, if a lawyer is going to take it, if it's 7 figures, there's so many stipulations that go on with that. It's just incredible. It's mind-boggling, and you sit there with your mouth gaping open going, how did this actually happen to me?
Right. Because you don't expect to go seek medical treatment and be harmed in the process.
No, not intentionally harmed.
No, not intentionally
That's what
harmed.
we're talking about. Intentionally harmed. I mean, everybody makes mistakes. We get that.
Right.
It's this. I mean, if you go to a doctor, I'm sorry, you know, it's the same as a priest or a minister, your family members, and you are absolutely sexually assaulted like that. That is like the worst assault that there possibly can be.
Right.
I'm crying because I know so many people. We hear it over and over. You and I, Jeannie, it's just thousands and thousands and thousands of people. And when is it going to stop?
I don't know. I don't think it's going to stop for a long, long time because the way the society is accepting of all this right now, I don't see it changing. I mean, to me, that is shocking that they're openly saying this.
Mm-hmm.
We knew it was being done, but for them to feel secure enough to openly say this, it's very scary.
Well, and no repercussions.
Right.
Like, in other words, what we're saying is that's it, people. I'm sorry. And these are my words, not the doctor's words, but it's like I'm hearing, well, sorry, people, you know, that's just the way it is. You don't count as a human being anymore because you're not going to get the vaccination, you know, whatever that is. And that's it. So you're done. You're on your own. It's like what they did to Cuba. And I don't want to make it political, but just quickly, I mean, everyone knows that when the Cuban people were like kind of on their own for how many years, and they had to devise their own medical stuff because they weren't at that point being how the government and everything was in the forefront of the medical community, and they did it on their own. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, well, they're people. Hello. I mean, we're all the people on this world.
Right.
You know, we're all living on planet Earth, and so aren't we all viable? Why are some viable and some not?
I don't know. That is the question. That is the question. And for someone who's been medically harmed, that's a question that you always wonder about.
Mm-hmm. And I want to throw into the poor souls in nursing homes that spent their whole lives working whatever jobs that they worked and looked for a happy retirement. And the stories that we get about that are just beyond comprehension. But if it was a dog or a cat and someone read that story, they would just be in tears about it and up in arms and picketing and whatever, but not for the people in the nursing homes.
No, they're like non-people.
Non-people, they're non-entities in society anymore. That's it. You know, you got the dementia, you know, you got whatever, Alzheimer's. I mean, how did they get that? Maybe from some of these drugs. That's what I think. And that's it. You don't count anymore.
Yeah, and I was reading an article today about a woman whose husband was dying. He was not dying of COVID, but he was dying in the hospital, and they denied her even video access to him while he was dying.
Yeah, that's...
It's just so much heartbreaking stuff that's happening, and the public does not seem to be upset about this.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't
understand.
I don't either. I don't get it. We're all people. Anyway, we've got a couple of seconds left. I want to say a huge thank you to Misty Roberts because she's one of our patient partners. She is in patientmodesty.org. Jeannie Roller, you talk on Twitter at Rights for Patients. We try to give the information that we can to try to help patients and, you know, skirt around these issues as best as we can educate because we're trying to figure it out for ourselves. But stay tuned to Planet Vero Radio. We'll be right back.